everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Powerful Stuff. You guys, it's been just like 2.5, 3 weeks into 2025. And what a crazy time it's been already, right? The LA fires have been unprecedented. My last two powerful stuffs were about, regulating our nervous system, grieving, processing as it comes to that. As many of you know, I call LA home and have lots of friends who call LA home. And I know lots of you listeners call LA home. And so want to continue to make sure that I'm a resource to help regulate. So the last two episodes you can go back to and look at for that self-regulation, some of that self-regulation tools. And if you or anyone you know who's listening was displaced by the LA fires, you can message me directly, the Meredith Baker on Instagram, and I'll give you a link to book a complimentary powerful coaching session with you as a way to help you kind of process and move into this next chapter. So just want to say that is a resource. But yeah, that's been wild. The inauguration happened this last week, which was crazy. If you know how I feel about the elections and Donald Trump. So also using this moment to ask myself, what can I do to continue to be a change, to continue to be a catalyst, and not just to be, fatigued, or as Shola Richard said, the shrug squad, during this next administration. So lots of things I'm thinking about of, how to be of service, both after the LA fires and in supporting, marginalized communities and people who might be directly affected by this presidency. All of that's to say, guys, that's not what this is going to be about today. That's not what this particular episode is going to be about. Today, the topic is going to be around my musings from a surf camp that I was at this last week in Bahia. And there's so much there. We're really going to go down the rabbit holes, guys, and I'm really going to process this with you. Sometimes we have to learn lessons many, many times. And life keeps presenting us lessons as a moment of, okay, it's time to remember this thing. And so I got to really take some of my own medicine this week in remembering certain lessons. So the two topics we're really going to be talking about today, and they both are kind of parallel, but it's really about having a growth mindset and having humility, play, curiosity when it comes to growth. And it's easy for us to say, but I noticed this week it was like uncomfortable for me to do. And also in the name of growth, right? Being the catalyst in our own lives, and showing up how we want others to show up for us. So the surf camp was kind of like a microcosm of musings, of relearnings for me. When you're traveling for a long time and you're kind of then put in this place where you don't really leave the surf camp, all the food is provided there. You're having lunch, breakfast, dinner with everyone, kind of like a college campus, and going off to your surf classes together. So I had a lot of musings, which I'm going to share. So if you're feeling like, either maybe like wounds around like, belonging or fitting in are coming up, or maybe also around like being a beginner at something again, or being in a growth mindset again, and kind of like noticing triggers coming up around that, this episode is for you. And even if those two things don't feel applicable, I promise you that this episode has many layers, and it's a great refresh of how we can kind of internally process our musings on these things that feel so small, but they can actually have profound ripple effects in our life if we take the juice from them, if we squeeze all the juice from them and make ourselves a fresh squeezed juice of personal inner wisdom. Sounds tasty, right? Okay, so all of that's to say, before I get going in this, I recognize my extreme privilege and gratitude to be able to work remote in Brazil and go to a surf camp and have these like very rabbit hole musings. So I'm just, want to say that first and foremost, as I laugh with myself at some of the nature of these musings. But as a life coach, I kind of did a post on this on Instagram. And as a life coach, it's like we got to find the metaphors and the musings and everything, right? That's what makes life fun. That's what makes life rich. Okay, so I'll start off with the surf lessons first, and then I'll move on to the people lessons from this week. Also recognizing this week, disclaimer, being self-compassionate with myself. I want to say I recognize that this week was a weird week for me. First and foremost, like Spencer and I coming to the surf camp haven't really been with other people as prolonged on our trip. It's really just been us and then a few friends here and there popping in. And also, it has been a little bit of a weird week, right? When we got to the surf camp, it was like in the thick of the LA fires. So I was there and wanting to be present, but wanting to show up for my clients, my community, really feeling like the devastation and grief in my own way of kind of watching people I love in my community lose their homes and just like the uncertainty of everything that's unfolding in LA. All of that's to say, I know I'm hitting you guys with a lot of upfront information, but just, it's like we're besties having matcha. I know you wouldn't want me to leave out a detail. So, um, you know, wish granted. But yeah, anyway, so with the surfing, I will say that, I've always been a summer surfer. I've loved surfing since I was 13, but in a very, very casual way. Like my mom's best friend growing up has a surfboard. Our families have like adjacent beach houses in Long Beach Island, New Jersey, which is a 19-mile sandbar. You should definitely go. If you haven't, in the East Coast, it's very cute. You can like walk from the bay to the beach. And then they're like 2 blocks apart. It's this like long, skinny sandbar. And I've been going there since I was little. Anyways, my mom's friend had a surfboard that I could borrow. So I kind of taught myself how to surf in New Jersey and would just do it every 2 weeks out of the summer every year since I was 13 when I went to New Jersey. And then in Los Angeles, I got a surfboard and continued to kind of just do it myself. I would always surf in the whitewater and just like ride the waves in. And that was just my style. I never liked dropping in on big waves. I've taken maybe 1 or 2 surf classes in LA total in Malibu. And when Spencer came to LA, when he first moved to LA and he moved there for me for our relationship, he ended up, I ended up introducing him to surfing and he had never done it before. And it was like such an honor and such a fun thing to introduce him to surfing. And when I did, he really loved it. He fell in love with it. He took it on full force and he ended up like being a year-round surfer. I'm only a summer surfer because I don't love surfing when it's cold and wearing a wetsuit and then being cold and having like, cold feet literally when I get out of the water. So like I'll surf in the summer, I'll just surf the white water, but Spencer freaking loves surfing. Like he'll go in the winter. He loves going out and like pushing himself to the limit, getting the next big wave, like pushing himself is his love language. And we've actually had funny little arguments in LA when like he wants us to go surfing together and I agree, but then I want to stay in the white water and then he wants to go to the water like further out. Whereas like for me, it's just a fun, chill thing. And anyway, so we're at the surf camp day 1. We're both in the beginners just so they can like see our technique and stuff. And I thought I was doing like decently well, but it was actually quite humbling that first day because they were teaching me an entirely new way to stand up on the board. Because I usually like pop up to my knees and then I pop up, but they were like having me do this technique where you use your back foot to lift your front foot up and you crouch down, but you keep your chest high and then you slowly get up. And anyways, it was this different way of doing it. And so I had to unlearn like so many years of doing it the other way. So I was like, kind of getting frustrated with myself because it was so automatic, my thinking or my reaction, that I wasn't able to quickly just like do what they said. And each time I felt like their eyes watching me. So it added even more pressure of like, I want to get this right because I don't want them to be like, you're not doing it right. And the surf instructor was like, I saw you meditating earlier today. You need to slow down. You need to not let the adrenaline get to you. Just like connect with your body. And it was so funny because I was having so many musings in that moment of like slowing down and being present and how that was a theme in my life, but also like, when I teach my clients about patterns and we have reactions and not to get frustrated with ourselves if we keep doing those reactions, but it's okay if we notice it. And the next time we like are able to break it a little sooner, to break that pattern and step into a new behavior. But it's hard. It's hard if you learn something one way for many, many years, and you have to sometimes just start with compassionate awareness. And so I was trying to give myself that compassion while like humbly receiving the feedback from the surf instructors. And and it's funny because Spencer just like got it instantly. They like told him and he got it. And they're like, wow, you're doing so good. And they're like hanging 10 with him and whatever. And then the surf instructor afterward goes up to Spencer and he's like, hey, would your wife be offended if like you went to the intermediate and she stayed in the beginner? And Spencer told me, and he thought it was like funny and he started laughing. And like high achiever in me was like, how dare you, you guys know what I mean, right? Um, and I was like, oh my God, congratulations. I love that my husband is such a quick learner. And I embrace, like, my word of the year is embrace, right? So I'm like, this is a perfect time to like walk the fire with that. I'm like, I embrace being a beginner. I embrace staying in the beginner. I embrace allowing myself to have fun in the beginner. I'm like talking myself through it and coaching myself through it internally when I hear that from Spencer, right? Of like, it's okay, Meredith. Like, you know what? You were in beginner and now you just get to build a solid foundation from which the rocket ship springs. And you get to practice embracing. You get to slow down and rebuild. Like the stakes are low. There's no harm of you staying in the beginners. So I was like giving myself this whole pep talk and making these musings around it. And then truthfully, it is like, I thought about it and I thought about like existential kink, the shadow side book of like, how are we creating the situations we say we want to avoid? And then I remembered and was like, I need full ownership over the fact that Spencer's been surfing way more than me the last 2 years. Like, I've been a summer surfer for 7 years. I can't expect that if I kind of go occasionally, even if I started before him, that he would be, you know, not even not as good as me because we're, a couple and it's not a competition, although, he's just being playful in our competition. But it's like, I can't expect in life, in anything, right? Even if I start something 7 years before someone, if they started, like way after me, but they're doing it every day. They're showing up every day. They have that thirst for growth every day. They're going to eventually surpass you. Right. And I found that being a parallel to sometimes when I had like human reactions to like people in my field who started after me, who were getting like bigger opportunities than me. And in kind of being my own coach was like, okay, if this like comparison's coming up, like what is it sparking in me? Okay, they have a growth mindset. They're like constantly hungry, like they're creating their own opportunities. This is a great thing. I thank them for this trigger or this feeling of comparison because it reminds me of like, I want to feel this sense of excitement and urgency in a positive way around like what I'm building and how I'm growing. So it was a reminder for that because like truthfully, Spencer has been surfing way more than me the last few years, and he has been pushing himself outside the whitewater. So that was musing number one. And then musing number two was like, truthfully, like surfing is just plain fun for me. Like, of course I want to get better through like consistency, but I don't need to like push myself to the limits like Spencer. Like my intention is to go out there to play, to have fun, to chat with people. If I don't want to surf the big waves, I don't have to, but then it's like I'm doing myself a disservice if then I'm like, why am I not in the intermediate? Because then it's like I can't win. So it's like I need to just give myself full permission to like own my intention. Like own your intention, be honest with yourself about your intention. And if I would be like, okay, it's cool that he's an intermediate. Like that's not like my intention to come to the surf camp is to learn better techniques, but not necessarily to like start surfing the pipeline. So that was my second one of just like being honest with my intention. And then the third lesson that I got from it was to have fun, like just be playful. Like if I was taking myself seriously or kind of getting a little butthurt, which I was for a moment, I'm not going to lie to you guys because we have that honest relationship, which I love so much. But I was a little butthurt and I was like, okay, we came here to have fun. And I tell all of my clients, right? play is power. And the universe is just so fucking hilarious because of course I teach people that, and the universe is like, okay, you teach people that. Let's see you walk the fire, Meredith. Let's see you walk the walk, Miss Client Zero. And so I had the opportunity to do that. I was like, okay, Spencer, is having fun, and I don't need to like impress the surf instructors. I don't need to impress Spencer. The more I just like have fun with it, the more it will come. And if I do want to get better, then I can practice more. I can practice my pop-ups outside of the surf class. I can take the surfboard out alone just to get repetitions in, just to get that muscle memory in. But let me be honest with myself about like my intention for doing it, and let me just have fun. Otherwise, why am I doing it, right? Let me loosen up a little bit. And of course, it's like that Osho quote: "Don't control." I'm gonna butcher the quote a little bit. It's like, "Don't seek, don't search, don't control. Relax. When you relax, you start vibrating with it. When you relax, it comes." And that's truly what I felt the rest of the week. Yeah, and I even had one more little funny moment with my ego, and then I'll wrap up the surfing one and go to the social one, which is probably even more vulnerable for me to share. But yeah, so after the first day, I was in the beginner again for the second lesson. And then it's so funny because I'm like, okay, I get to universe. I'm being humble. I'm being having humility. And then we were sitting at lunch with this couple, and they're like, "Oh, do you think you'll join the intermediate today?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think so, because I, did beginner twice, and I've been surfing for 7 years, and I just needed to like fix my pop-up. And so I feel like I'll be an intermediate. Like I just need to kind of fix that thing. But like I've been, you know what I mean? Like I was kind of like justifying it. And right as I say that, I shit you not, the surf instructor like comes out of nowhere and in front of the whole table is like, "So Meredith, I was thinking you should do another beginner class because you need to keep your hips down more. Like there's a few more things you need to like work on, but like, yeah, let's keep you in beginners." And it was just like this moment. And then like the couple just kind of like was like, "It's okay. Like, I like I needed to fix my technique a lot too, or it's like good to be in beginners because sometimes the intermediate waves are so big." So it's just such a funny moment of me like thinking I had already like learned the lesson that one time, and it, like the first class, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm good," and then I like justify me being in the beginners to these people, um, which I realized was probably coming from a little Meredith wanting to impress, and we love her and we get it, but she doesn't need to. And when we slow down, right, and we have that loving relationship with ourselves, like we lose the need to kind of prove to other people. And I realized in that moment that was a little bit of what I was doing, but it's okay. We're all human. But yeah, it was funny because I'm like, okay, I learned this lesson once, got it. Then I was able to like say it to this couple, and then it was kind of like the universe humbling me yet again. So I guess the other micro musing from that is like sometimes we need to learn our lessons multiple times, and sometimes they're for us to kind of internally know and process before we kind of like share the takeaway with others before we've actually integrated it, right? Because I like shared the takeaway, and then I was like hit with it again because I hadn't fully integrated it, right? And it was coming from a little bit of that wanting to prove that I'm worthy enough in my surfing sense. Um, and so it was just like a funny moment. It's kind of comical. You have to laugh when that happens. So that was a reminder of like, it's going to take as long as it takes. You don't need to justify it. Just fucking have fun. Just have fun. And then finally, you guys, when I did go to the intermediate class, the waves were like pretty big, that the current was pretty strong. The ocean was very choppy. And, I'd finally gotten to the intermediate, and part of me was like, I could just like really paddle out there and push myself and try to like keep up with everyone. But then part of me, having given myself full permission over the course of all of those like lessons throughout the week, had decided that I would just have fun and I would just surf in the white water and practice the techniques and go back to the foundation. And so they actually like left me in the white water, and they went to the green waves further into the ocean. And I had fun, and I just had musings with myself, and I didn't like push myself trying to prove anything. And it's like by the end of the week, I was finally there. And I did learn a lot, and I didn't need to be the best. I didn't need to get invited back to the intermediate, but it was just such a funny musing. And so the TLDR of that, and then it had me thinking deeply, y'all. It had me thinking deeply about growth. It had me thinking deeply about um, the different journeys of growth, of like approaching growth truly with like humility, right? Like I came to a surf camp to get better so I can continue to be humble as I'm receiving this feedback. And of course, I was very humble and polite, or I like to think so. I hope that the instructors received it that way too. But internally, I noticed myself the first few times getting feedback, or when I was like, kept in the beginners, like internally experiencing resistance. So anyways, that's my own like reminder of like being humble. This is why you came. This is great. And also the more we can have that beginner mindset, the more we can really like grow, the more we can, really enjoy, um, why we came there. Why are we doing it in the first place? We can really get into that meditative flow state, and we can really like play and have fun. And then also, if your intention, like, secondly, like align with your intention, right? If your intention is just to have fun, then don't compare yourself. I mean, never, the ideal would be never to compare yourself to others, right? Just compete against who you were yesterday, as they say. But yeah, if you're honest with yourself and your intention, you're able to enjoy it more. Because if you're like, okay, I came here to like get reps in and to feel confident, but I don't need to be like the best one out there, then you can allow yourself to relax a little bit more. And lastly, if you are wanting to like experience growth and you are getting triggered by why everyone's passing you, it's like, how did I create this situation? Have I been putting in as much work as them? And like being really honest about that, and kind of thinking about that for surfing made me realize, like, in the different areas that I do really want to show up in, ways that I could be pushing myself to grow more, and ways that I have been complacent. And of course, there's seasons for everything, right? And we can't be pushing ourselves like pedal to the floor all the time. But in areas that were important to me, where I've noticed myself in the past getting triggered by people who are further along than me, it's like a good moment of like, okay, like they're hungry for it. They're so desiring it and excited for it. Like, how can I channel that? And instead of like being annoyed at them, internally being like, thank you, thank you, thank you for like waking me up to this reminder for growth, because as we know, triggers are treasures. And so that's my surfing one. So I think I already said TLDR, but let's just like hone it in one more time. And I'll give you some questions to ask yourself for this surfing thing. Is you know what um what is the thing? What is your surf lesson? Like, what is your surfboard or your surfing? Blah, 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 blah. What is like your parallel to this surfing story? Whether it is like, an activity like surfing, or maybe it's something in your professional career or music, or like something you want to improve at in music. Like, what is it? And what is your intention for doing it? Like, what is your why? Is it to have fun? Is it to further it along? And maybe asking yourself, like, how have I been taking it too seriously? How have I been taking myself too seriously in the process? Where could I open myself up for even greater feedback or growth? In what ways could I allow more learnings to come in? In what ways could I be open to more learnings? Right. And as you answer those questions, like, think about how you can bring more fun to it. Like, what's something that you can do to bring more fun and play and curiosity to it? And like, do that instead. And remember why you started it in the first place, because that's like what spoke so deeply to me in surfing. And then, you know what, guys? Um, I also made this other uh, Instagram reel about it, of like looking at all possible avenues of this thing that you're learning, right? And not making a story about like, this is just who I am, or I'm bad at this, right? Because if you stick with consistency and you stick with growth, you are going to improve, right? I could say, oh, I'm just a beginner surfer forever, I'm bad at surfing. But if I show up every day and I practice, like, I am going to get better. And that was the case with everyone I met at the surf camp, people who never even surfed before, but they showed up every day to the classes. And by the end of their classes, they were like standing up on the board. And so notice where you have self-limiting beliefs about yourself in this area that you do want to grow in. And also, sometimes, like, it's not you, it's the ocean, right? Some days it was super choppy and it was just like the current was really strong and the waves kind of crashed weird, or they crashed right on the sand, and it wasn't a good day to surf. It just wasn't. It wasn't a good day to surf. And so it's not you that day, and it's not to say, oh my gosh, I was horrible today, but it's like, okay, it was the ocean. The ocean was a little rocky today, but I got out there and that's all that mattered. In my Instagram reel about this, I compare it to like, it's like the ocean. Surfing in the ocean is like dating, right? Some days the waves are amazing or the dates are amazing and it feels like magic, and other days you're ghosted by the ocean. And so it's not to like ascribe all of the failure to you, but like, okay, I got out there today, I got the reps in. This bad date doesn't mean anything about me, right? Or this bad surf or this bad whatever it is. Like sometimes it's just that day, or you're just tired that day. um, or maybe you had like a long board one day and a short board a different day, and you just needed to change the boards before something clicked, right? So it's like that growth mindset of having the curiosity of like, what are the different factors here, and how can I optimize my environment while also like getting reps and learning, and trusting that just by the repetition I'm going to break the old pattern and step into the new pattern. And that's like with growth, right? Like with the patterns that we've talked about in the past, like just by noticing and by trying out this new behavior, it might feel uncomfortable or funny at first, but just by doing it, I'm going to get better at it over time. And without even like having to try so hard, especially if it's like something that you're just doing for fun, just by like showing up and approaching it with curiosity and um, allowing yourself to A, have fun, B, be consistent, 3, be humble, as Kendrick Lamar would say. And then just also be curious about like the different things in your environment that might be affecting it, that like aren't in like your fault at all, you know? Wow. That was my growth rabbit hole. And you know what, guys? Because we're already at 30 minutes and I just think the other episode is so good and juicy as well. I'm going to split it into the next episode, which will come out next week. So, and I'm going to record it now too, because I'm visiting my friends, Alex and Pavan, in Puerto Rico. So I'll be doing that this next week, finally leaving our beautiful 6-week or almost 2-month journey in Brazil. Anyways, all of that's to say, I'm going to share the social musings in the next episode. So if you're like, oh, what were these social musings that Meredith said she was going to be vulnerable about, you must stay tuned. But with that being said, guys, we are going to do a growth meditation right now. So go ahead and find a comfortable seat, closing your eyes. Take an inhale through your nose and exhale, sigh it out. We're going to do a little bit of an oceanic breath instead of holding at the top. Breathing in, exhale, let it go. Inhale through your nose, exhale, let it go. Like one circular, continual sound, like the waves crashing on the shore. And as you breathe, I want you to bring to mind something that you want to grow in. Maybe you've been feeling a little stagnant in it, or a little stuck in your current part of the growth journey. And just noticing as you bring this thing to mind, how that stuckness feels, or maybe that plateau, or maybe you've just grown comfortable in the phase that you're in, but you know that itch is starting to creep up. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. Just noticing that, okay, maybe that itch is starting to creep up. And starting to breathe into where you feel the stuckness or the stagnant energy, almost like your breath is using its life force energy to remove this stuckness, to lubricate it so it can be let go. So deepening your breath to bring even more attention to this area, bringing it into even deeper relaxation. And first, as you see in your mind's eye this area where you feel stuck, first just internally acknowledging that version of you, telling that version of you in your mind's eye, as you see that version of you doing this thing, telling them how proud you are of them, and acknowledging how far they've already come. Maybe if it is something like surfing, it's like, I remember when you couldn't catch a wave at all, and now look at you standing up, even if it's on a small wave. So just acknowledging you and how far you've already come, the courage it already took to get there. And as that version of you hears and feels those words of acknowledgement from you, feeling them start to soften. And telling that version of you, let's go ahead and explore the ways we can deepen this learning. Knowing that I love you no matter what, and I'm so proud of you for even putting yourself out there to try in the first place. And so with that version of you, they agree. And your mind's eye plays out a situation where they're learning this thing. And this first time around, you get to see kind of the frustration of maybe where that learning stops or where they don't feel empowered in this current moment. And just letting it be okay, just observing where that threshold is of your current learning. Noticing the frustration that ensues, how you might feel or how you might react or act towards someone else if you receive feedback. And then go ahead and place both hands on the part of your body where you feel that stuckness the most, where you feel that frustration. And trace it back to maybe feelings that you were reminded of as a child, maybe times you felt not enough or you needed to prove, or you felt like you needed to be perfect. Noticing how old you are as you trace it back to like scenes from your childhood. And having compassion for these scenes showing up now in this area that you want to grow in. And with both hands, go ahead and pull this out of your body. Pull the heaviness or the weight out of your body. Of all of that stuckness around this learning or that fear, whatever it might be, holding it in your hands. And now that you've extracted it, asking your inner child what they need from you to feel safe to grow with you in this area. Maybe it's a reminder that they're doing great. Maybe it's that you'll love them no matter what. Just for trying. And then as they feel the truth of your words, start to rub your hands together like you're transforming the heaviness from that stagnant energy, transforming it into that perfect elixir for growth. Rub, 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 rub. Rub your hands, feeling the heat, and then open your hands up in your mind's eye. Notice this beautiful new energy that's been created. Maybe it's an essence or an object. And go ahead and place this energy back in your body where the old pattern left, or their old stagnant energy left. Breathing in this new excited energy of growth, of connecting you to your higher self who's always there, allowing that to lift your spine and sit up even taller, bringing a smile to your lips. Feeling so energized and ready to grow because you know you are so enough no matter what, and you just think it's so freaking cool that you're doing this in the first place. Breathing that in, feeling a smile come to your lips. And now with so much humility, with so much grace, with so much delight and curiosity, go ahead and re-envision in your mind's eye doing this growth activity, but from this playful attitude, from this attitude of excitement and curiosity. Noticing what shifts in the scene. Noticing how you approach this growth. Noticing how past perceived setbacks or frustrations are now incredible learning opportunities. Even getting glimpses of like other people you could learn from that maybe you were overlooking, or other things that you could learn from that maybe you were overlooking. And just feeling so energized, like it's all fuel. Like the possibilities are endless, that you feel so excited to grow. Feeling it awaken this buzzing energy in every cell of your body. Feeling like you're upgrading in the present moment just by having this excitement for this thing. And how does it feel in your mind's eye to see this play out, to feel it play out, of you being so energized for the growth and so proud of yourself just for the input, regardless of the output, but just by showing up, you feel so proud of yourself. You almost hear yourself saying it to yourself, I'm proud of you. And then how does that ripple into other areas of your life? How does that supercharge your other areas of your life? If you have growth mindset in this area, how is that deepening your relationships? How is that deepening your passion around certain elements of your work? How is that deepening your self-growth journey? Just seeing how it elevates and ripples and elevates every area of your life, and letting that feel so exciting and good. And breathing in this growth energy, asking that version of you in your mind's eye, your highest self, what is the perfect next step that you can take in this growth journey? What is that perfect next step? Trusting whatever they say, thanking them for this wisdom. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then slowly, when you're ready, taking a deep breath in and exhale, sigh it out. Another deep breath in and exhale, opening your eyes, coming back into this space. Wow. I hope you're feeling so energized to like go do that thing that you're really excited to like experience your growth leap in. And remember, the most important thing is, how can I be more humble? How can I infuse more curiosity and play into this? How can I not take myself so seriously? How can I be more consistent and more input focused versus output focused, right? And how does deciding to grow in this area impact and elevate other areas of my life? How does having the humility and the desire to grow in this area impact and elevate other areas of my life? You can journal on these questions and journal on how it felt to be in that growth energy when you were in your meditation. Yeah, I'm so excited. And if you want accountability around this, definitely message me or email me and say, this is the one thing I'm going to do to shift my growth this week, to shift my growth in this area this week. I want to hear from you and I want to hold you accountable. And I'm excited next week, guys, for you to hear part 2 of my learnings from the surf camp. I can't wait to share it with you. Oh my gosh, there's like balloons, AI balloons on Riverside FM right now, if you guys are watching on video. But yeah, also, if you have somebody who's been saying they've been feeling stuck or frustrated, or even if they're at a crossroads in their life, send them this episode, because nothing gets us out of crossroads or breeds more clarity than putting ourselves in the growth zone or the gray area and proving to ourselves, I've got me in uncertain situations. And I'm just proud of me for showing up. And remind yourself also, kind of like our past imposter syndrome episodes, remind yourself of all the other times you've been a beginner and it was freaking awesome to stick with it and to like keep going and it's worked out. And yeah, remember, consistency is king and queen, and just ride the waves each day. Each day, the waves are going to be different, and let yourself have the experience that day. And at the end of the day, let it go. The waves aren't thinking about you after they've passed. So don't think about the waves or make it into a story if it didn't go the way you wanted to. Just be like, okay, great. Tomorrow's a new day. I got some reps in. Let's see what happens tomorrow. And I, my friends, will be looking forward to hearing how you grow this week. And I'm excited to share with you more of my musings from surf camp in next week's episode. And I will see you soon for more powerful stuff. Hey, you. Thank you for coming on this powerful journey with me. I hope it was as powerful for you as it was for me. And if it was, it would mean the world to me if you rate, review, and subscribe to Powerful Stuff so I can keep bringing you the goods. We can keep going on this transformative journey together. And if there's powerful stuff that you want to share with me, with the Powerful Stuff community, tag us on Instagram at That's Powerful Stuff or the Meredith Baker. And I look forward to seeing you next week for more